Leora's heart pounded in her chest as she darted down the shimmering corridors of the alien palace, carrying a tray of delicate crystal vials. Each step echoed against the tall, polished walls, and every shadow seemed alive. She had delivered these vials countless times before, but today something felt wrong. A low, vibrating hum thrummed through the floor, unlike anything she had ever heard. Before she could react, a blur of light and motion shot from above. The alien prince's dragon, a massive creature with translucent scales that shimmered like liquid glass, lunged at her. Its jaws snapped around her arm and pain exploded in her nerves. Leora screamed, but only in her mind. Her lips moved, forming a wordless command, and she clenched her teeth. She could not afford to panic. Not here. Not now. Instinct took over. She grabbed the dragon's lower jaw with both hands, holding it steady, resisting the thrashing. Its sharp fangs pressed into her skin, and a strange warmth spread from the bite. The dragon trembled, its glowing eyes fixed on her. Leora's mind raced. Why isn't it attacking more? The guards outside froze at the sight, unsure whether to intervene. The palace went silent. Even the humming seemed to quiet, as though the building itself was waiting. Leora's arm throbbed, but she felt something else. A pulse, almost like the dragon was sending her a message. She whispered instinctively, "It's okay. I'm not here to hurt you." The words were simple, yet they carried conviction, and for reasons she didn't understand, the dragon paused. Its tail stopped whipping. Its claws dug lightly into the floor instead of the walls. The prince appeared, his golden robes flaring behind him. His eyes widened, then narrowed. "Maid," he barked. "Step back." But Leora didn't. She stared at the dragon, reading its subtle movements like a language she hadn't learned but somehow understood. The creature's hum shifted, forming patterns in the air that tingled against her skin. Leora realized it was not a mindless beast, it was signaling, warning, questioning. The guards murmured, uncertain, but Leora ignored them. She adjusted her grip, pressing her palm against the dragon's snout, feeling the vibrations under her fingertips. The dragon froze completely, its massive head tilting slightly as if it were listening. She took a deep breath, letting calm and courage fill her chest, and whispered again, softer this time. "Trust me." For a long, tense moment, nothing happened. Then the dragon exhaled slowly, a luminous mist flowing from its nostrils. Leora's pain dulled, replaced by a strange, buzzing energy in her arm. She realized the bite was not just aggression, it was a link, a test, a bridge. She had survived the first contact, and now she had the dragon's attention. The prince's expression shifted. Shock, confusion, and a hint of admiration crossed his face. "How?" he murmured. Leora didn't answer. She couldn't. Every fiber of her attention was on the dragon. It lowered its head slightly, allowing her to remove her hands. The hum faded into a gentle vibration, almost like a heartbeat. A small, almost imperceptible smile appeared on Leora's face. She had calmed the creature without weapons, without running, using only her mind, her courage, and a human instinct for empathy. For a brief moment, she felt a connection she could not explain. The dragon's scales glowed softly in response, sending patterns of light flickering across the corridor walls. Then, without warning, a sharp metallic click echoed from the far end of the hall. A door she hadn't noticed slid open silently. Shadows moved inside, too precise, too deliberate to be servants. Leora's gaze flicked to the darkened corridor beyond, and her stomach tightened. The dragon stiffened, its eyes narrowing in the direction of the sound. The palace was silent again, but this time the silence felt heavier, filled with hidden threats. The bite had stopped the immediate danger, yes, but it had also revealed something else. Someone, or something, was watching. And Leora now realized she was part of a game far larger than she had ever imagined. She took a cautious step forward, her arm still tingling from the dragon's bite. The creature followed, its hum low and expectant. Leora's mind raced with possibilities. Who had opened that door? Why were they hiding? And most importantly, what did the dragon want from her now? Before she could decide, a faint, flickering light pulsed in the dragon's eyes, sharp, urgent, like a signal she couldn't ignore. The palace, vast and gleaming, suddenly felt like a trap, and yet Leora's resolve hardened. She had faced the impossible once already, now she had no choice but to move deeper into the unknown. Something stirred in the shadows, and a cold, alien whisper seemed to brush against her thoughts. Leora swallowed, tightening her grip on the tray of vials. The dragon exhaled a slow, glowing puff, nudging her forward. Whatever awaited beyond that door, she knew one thing with absolute clarity: she would not run. Not now. Not ever. And in that suspended moment of fear and courage, the palace seemed to hold its breath, waiting for the first move that could change everything. Leora's pulse raced as she stepped cautiously toward the shadowed corridor. The dragon followed silently, its enormous translucent wings folding neatly along its back. The palace, once gleaming and alive with distant chatter, now felt like a trap. Every polished floor panel reflected fragmented light, every hallway could hide danger, and every whisper of air made her senses sharpen. She could feel the dragon's hum vibrating in her arm, like a thread connecting them, pulsing with signals she didn't yet understand. Her mind worked quickly. The bite had not been just aggression, it was a message. Leora examined her arm, noticing faint glowing lines tracing from the punctures, like veins of light. She pressed her fingertips over them and felt a rhythmic pulse that matched the dragon's hum. This is more than a wound, she thought. It's a link. I can sense what it senses. Her heart skipped a beat. The palace was full of threats, and this connection might be her only advantage. Suddenly, from behind a tall archway, a sharp metallic click echoed. Leora spun, heart in her throat, and saw a patrol of palace guards, mechanized not living beings, emerge silently. Their armored forms glimmered with alien alloys, and their eyes glowed red. They weren't here for her but for someone else, someone important. The dragon hissed low, a warning vibrating through her bones. She realized immediately, these were not ordinary guards. Someone inside the palace had armed them to hunt, sabotage, or spy. Leora didn't hesitate. She stepped forward, placing a hand gently on the dragon's neck. "Follow my lead," she whispered, her voice low but steady. The dragon's eyes flicked to her, understanding, or so it seemed, and it crouched slightly ready to spring. With careful, quiet steps, she led them through a side hallway, pressing her body against the walls to stay in shadow. Every echo of their movement could give them away, every misstep could alert the mechanized patrol. As they moved, her eyes caught tiny, almost invisible glyphs etched into the walls, symbols that pulsed faintly with energy. She didn't know their meaning, but instinct told her they were part of the palace's hidden network. Leora pressed her glowing bite-marked arm to the nearest glyph. The symbol reacted instantly, sending a ripple of light down the corridor. The dragon exhaled a soft, vibrating hum that made the floor beneath them shiver slightly. Her stomach tightened. She realized the glow in her arm allowed her to interact with the palace in ways no one else could. These mechanized guards were programmed to follow conventional intrusions, not someone connected through the dragon's bite. This is my advantage, she thought. I can move through their defenses unnoticed. Her mind raced, calculating the safest route to the main chambers where the prince might be vulnerable, and where the hidden threat could be watching. Suddenly, a low hiss echoed from behind them. Leora froze. One of the mechanized guards had detected her presence. Or maybe the dragon had triggered a sensor she didn't notice. The dragon tensed, tail lashing. Leora acted immediately, raising her free hand toward the glowing lines on her arm. She focused, willing the connection to transmit her intent. Do not attack. Wait. The dragon's hum shifted, responding like it understood. The guard stopped mid-step, its red eyes dimming as if confused. Leora's chest heaved with relief. It works, she thought. She had learned, in a single heartbeat, how to use the link to influence both the dragon and the palace defenses. Her courage had bought her a small victory, but it also revealed something dangerous. The palace was alive with unseen forces that could strike at any moment. Then came another sound, a soft, shuffling step, almost human, from a balcony above. Leora looked up and saw a figure in shadow, observing her. She couldn't make out features, but the stance was deliberate, calculating. The dragon stiffened beside her, its glowing eyes locked on the figure. Leora's stomach sank. Someone knows I'm here. Someone is waiting. She pressed her arm harder to the glyphs along the wall, sending another ripple through the palace's hidden network. The shadow moved, vanished, and a faint vibration ran down the hallway. A warning? A signal? She didn't know, but the mystery gnawed at her. Her mind clicked. If this bite connects me to the dragon and the palace, maybe I can see everything coming next. Maybe I can predict threats before they strike. She tested her theory, reaching out with her awareness, letting the glow from her arms spread through the corridors. Small lights flickered along the walls, doors shifted slightly, and faint sounds, whispers of movement, traveled through her mind. She was not just surviving, she was learning, adapting, turning the danger into a tool. A sudden noise, a heavy thud like something crashing through a balcony, snapped her focus. Leora spun just in time to see one of the mechanized guards collapse mid-step, its joints locked in place. The dragon hissed, glowing brighter, and she realized that her link had somehow disabled it. Her quick action had saved her, the prince and anyone in the path, but the palace's defenses were now aware of her presence. Every second after this would be more dangerous than the last. Leora swallowed hard, determination settling in her chest. She had calmed a dragon, gained a strange, glowing link and outmaneuvered palace defenses, all in a few minutes. But now she knew the palace held deeper threats. Hidden watchers, mechanized guards, and the mysterious shadow above meant this was only the beginning. Her eyes met the dragon's and it seemed to nod, a pulse of light flowing from its scales into her arm. Leora's hand trembled slightly, not from fear, but from the sheer weight of what she had discovered. She had survived the first danger, but the palace was vast, and the secrets it held were far from simple. And then from the far end of the hallway, an eerie high-pitched vibration echoed through the floor. It was different from the dragon, different from the guards, and it carried an unmistakable intent. Someone, or something, was coming and it knew her presence. Leora's breath caught. The bite had given her power, yes, but it had also marked her as part of the palace's hidden game. She tightened her grip on the tray, felt the dragon's hum in her arm, and took a deep, steadying breath. She would not run. Not now. Not ever. Something was moving in the shadows, and this time, there was no warning, only the sudden, sharp sound of claws on the polished floor, and a whisper that didn't belong to any living thing. The next moment would decide everything. Leora's pulse pounded as she crouched behind a massive archway, the dragon's glowing form pressed close beside her. The hallway beyond shimmered faintly, alive with hidden energy she hadn't yet fully understood. The bite had connected her to the palace's strange neural network, and now she could feel currents of awareness flowing through the walls, the floors, even the doors. It was subtle at first, like a hum under her skin, but gradually it sharpened, sending tiny flashes of insight into her mind. She could sense movement, footsteps she couldn't hear, whispers she couldn't quite catch, and the faint presence of something dangerous lurking in the palace's hidden corridors. Her eyes darted to the far end of the hall where shadows twisted unnaturally. Someone, or something, was watching her. She could feel the weight of their gaze pressing against her consciousness. The dragon hummed low, vibrating through her arm, and Leora realized the connection wasn't just a link of trust, it was a bridge. She could sense what the dragon sensed and perhaps even more. The palace itself was aware, alive, and she was suddenly part of its pulse. Leora clenched her teeth, trying to calm her racing thoughts. She pressed her glowing bite-marked arm to the wall and let the energy ripple outward, tentatively probing. A sequence of lights flickered along the floors and doors, and a pattern emerged. Hidden pathways, secret rooms, and mechanisms invisible to ordinary eyes. Her mind raced. If I can control the link, I can predict the threats before they strike. I can move through the palace like it's my own. Then came a sound that froze her blood, the faint scraping of metal, deliberate and precise. A mechanized guard, or something even more advanced, was approaching through a side passage. Leora's stomach tightened. These weren't ordinary palace sentries. The way it moved suggested intelligence, awareness, and purpose. She realized, with a jolt, that someone had designed these machines to hunt her, to test her. The dragon stiffened beside her, tail lashing against the floor. Leora whispered, barely moving her lips, "Stay calm." The hum pulsed faster, responding to her thoughts. Then, in a sudden flash of insight, she reached toward the wall, pressing her arm against the glyphs she had seen earlier. The lights responded instantly, and the approaching guard halted, frozen mid-step. Leora exhaled quietly. Her quick thinking had bought her a small victory. But the sense of unease remained. The palace's hidden watchers were still active, and the shadow from the balcony earlier had not vanished. Leora's heart sank. She had the dragon's trust, she had the network beneath her fingertips, but the palace held deeper dangers, forces she couldn't yet see, and someone, or something, was orchestrating it all. She took a cautious step forward, listening to the subtle vibrations under her feet. A door she hadn't noticed slid open silently and a figure stepped out, a counselor, masked and deliberate, moving with the grace of someone who knew the palace's secrets intimately. Leora froze. The mechanized guard, still frozen by her link, was powerless to stop this new threat. The figure paused, glancing at her, then moved deeper into the palace. Leora's mind clicked. She had seen glimpses of this figure in the dragon's projections. The flashes of warning, the cryptic images that had crossed her consciousness during the bite. A conspirator, she realized. Someone within the prince's court was plotting, and her presence had drawn attention. The dragon hissed low, a warning vibration that sent shivers down her arm. Leora pressed closer to its side, drawing strength from the creature's steady hum. She had faced danger before, but this was different. This was a threat born of intellect, of planning, of deception. The corridor ahead pulsed faintly with light, the hidden network of the palace revealing itself as she moved. Leora followed the patterns, letting the glow from her arm guide her steps. Tiny doors clicked open silently, revealing hidden mechanisms she could manipulate. One lever, a simple motion of her hand, caused a staircase to extend upward, giving her a vantage point over the hall. She climbed quickly, her breath shallow but controlled, the dragon moving beside her like a living shadow. From above, she could see the counselor meet with another figure, this one fully armored, moving with mechanical precision. Leora's mind raced. They were planning something big, something that could threaten not just the prince but the entire palace. Her pulse quickened, but fear was replaced by determination. I can stop them. I have to. She pressed her glowing arm to the balcony railing, sending a ripple through the palace's hidden network. A faint alarm sounded, subtle but effective, enough to warn the dragon, enough to disrupt the conspirators' plan. One of the armored figures hesitated, scanning the hall. Leora's small victory bought her seconds and she used them wisely. She calculated her next move, knowing that patience and quick thinking were her greatest weapons. Suddenly, a loud crash echoed from the lower halls, startling even the dragon. The counselor looked up, eyes narrowing beneath the mask. Something was coming, something fast, unseen and deadly. Leora's stomach tightened. She could feel the ripple of the palace's pulse reacting to the disturbance. The bite had given her the connection, the awareness, but it had also exposed her. Every step now carried the weight of consequences. Leora's hand trembled slightly as she pressed against the dragon's scales. The creature's hum responded instantly, and she felt a surge of energy coursing through her arm, linking her senses with its own. We can face this together, she thought. She didn't know exactly what awaited them, but she knew one thing: she would not back down. The palace, the conspirators, the mechanized guards, they all underestimated the courage and intelligence of a single human. And then, from the shadows of the far balcony, a figure stepped forward, tall, imposing, and cloaked in darkness. The dragon hissed violently, scales glowing brighter than ever. Leora froze, realizing that this was no ordinary opponent. The counselor had allies and the hidden threat had just become immediate. Her heart pounded, but a fierce determination settled in her chest. She gripped her glowing arm, feeling the pulse, the connection, and the raw potential it gave her. This was the moment that would define everything. One wrong move could end everything, but one right move could change the course of the palace, and perhaps the fate of everyone inside. The figure raised a hand and a high-pitched vibration cut through the air. A command, a threat, and a challenge all at once. The dragon's hum shifted into a tense, urgent rhythm, matching Leora's racing heartbeat. She swallowed hard, taking a steadying breath, knowing she had to act quickly. The palace was alive, the danger was immediate, and the game had just begun. The next instant would decide everything. Leora's heart hammered as she crouched on the balcony, the dragon's glowing form pressed close beside her. The imposing figure below, cloaked and shadowed, raised its hand, and the high-pitched vibration cut through the air like a blade. Mechanized guards scuttled silently from hidden alcoves, surrounding the counselor and creating a trap that seemed impossible to escape. Leora's pulse surged. Every second now mattered. She pressed her glowing arm to the railing, sending a surge of energy through the palace's hidden network. The dragon hissed in response, its scales brightening, reacting to her thoughts. Leora's mind raced. The guards were fast, precise, and programmed for strategy. Alone she had no chance. But with the dragon, and the link, it was a different story. She focused, feeling the pulse of the palace beneath her fingertips, sensing every shift of weight, every hidden mechanism. The first mechanized guard lunged, joints whirring as it aimed directly at her. Leora acted without hesitation. She reached toward the glyphs lining the balcony wall and triggered a subtle ripple through the palace's network. The floor beneath the guard shifted slightly, causing it to stagger. The dragon's massive tail swung like a pendulum, striking another guard mid-step and sending it crashing into a column. Leora's small, precise actions created chaos among the attackers, giving her and the dragon crucial seconds. From below, the counselor's masked head turned, eyes narrowing beneath the shadow. "You think a human can control this place?" the figure hissed, voice low but commanding. Leora didn't answer. She didn't need to. The dragon exhaled a soft wave of glowing mist that rolled toward the mechanized guards, short-circuiting some of their circuits. Sparks danced along the polished floors. Leora pressed her hand harder to the dragon's neck, feeling the pulse of energy surge into her arm. With each beat she could guide the dragon's movements, anticipate threats, and react faster than any enemy could. The counselor's companion, fully armored and precise in motion, advanced from a shadowed corridor. Its steps were silent, calculated, almost surgical. Leora's mind raced. She spotted a small energy conduit running along the wall, partially exposed. Acting on instinct, she gestured subtly toward it, and the dragon responded immediately, slashing its claw across the conduit. Sparks erupted, sending a pulse through the hallway and disabling several mechanized guards at once. Her plan worked, but she knew it was temporary. The palace was alive, adaptive, and her enemies would not be stopped for long. Suddenly, the floor beneath her balcony began to tremble. A massive energy core, previously hidden, pulsed violently, the glow intensifying as cracks appeared in its containment field. Leora's breath caught. One misstep could set off an explosion that would destroy the entire palace. She glanced at the dragon, its eyes locked on her. She realized with a flash, she had to link fully with the creature, synchronize completely, and act with perfect timing. She closed her eyes, focusing on the bite's connection, the hum of the dragon, and the pulse of the palace. Every decision, every movement, every thought had to be precise. With a deep breath, she reached out with her mind, directing the dragon to leap onto the energy core's control panel. Sparks flew as its claws made contact, stabilizing the field long enough for her to run forward and press her hand against the control glyphs etched in the floor. Light rippled outward, merging with the dragon's energy, and for a tense moment, the palace seemed to hold its breath. The masked counselor's eyes widened, and the armored figure faltered. Leora's bold actions had turned the tide, but the threat was far from over. She could feel the pulse of the palace resisting her intrusion, almost as if it were testing her limits. Sweat trickled down her temple, but she remained focused, directing the dragon in a delicate dance to neutralize threats while she manipulated the palace network. Mechanized guards surged from the side corridors, but Leora anticipated each movement. The dragon spun, tail lashing, fangs snapping at metal joints, while she tapped into the energy glyphs to reroute hallways and close off paths. Each small victory gave her a surge of hope, yet the danger escalated. The palace was not just a building, it was a sentient trap, adaptive and cunning. Then came the moment of highest tension. The energy core pulsed violently, threatening to erupt. Leora realized that one miscalculation could destroy the dragon, the prince, and herself. Her breath quickened, her heart raced, but her determination hardened. I will not fail. I cannot fail. She pressed every ounce of focus into the connection, sending a wave of calm energy through the dragon, synchronizing their actions perfectly. The dragon lunged, claws striking the final control node as Leora's hands pressed the glyphs. A surge of light flooded the hall, neutralizing the immediate threat and stabilizing the energy core. Sparks danced across the walls, mechanized guards collapsed in controlled chaos, and the counselor froze, realizing their plan had been thwarted. For a moment, silence fell, thick and heavy. Leora's chest heaved with exhaustion, but she felt a fierce pride swell inside her. She had faced the impossible, coordinated with a creature no human had ever controlled, and outmaneuvered enemies designed to stop her. She had turned fear into strategy, danger into opportunity. But even as she exhaled, she sensed it, another presence, subtle but undeniable, sliding through the palace's hidden channels. A shadow, darker than the counselors, larger and faster, moving toward them from the outer wings. The dragon stiffened, scales glowing brighter than ever, a warning vibrating through her arm. Leora's stomach tightened. This was no ordinary enemy. Something greater was coming, something beyond mechanized guards and conspirators. She took a deep breath, gripping the dragon's neck firmly. Her mind raced, calculating possibilities, anticipating moves. The palace had been her battlefield, the dragon her ally, but the next moment would test her courage, intelligence, and determination like never before. The energy hum thrummed through the halls, the dragon's glow pulsed in sync with her heartbeat, and the palace seemed to tremble with expectation. Leora knew one truth with certainty: surviving this was only the beginning. A sudden, piercing vibration erupted from the far corridor, a signal, a command, or a challenge. The dragon's roar echoed, reverberating through every wall, and Leora's eyes narrowed with fierce resolve. Whatever came next, she would face it head-on. The palace held its breath, and so did she. Leora's chest heaved as she landed on the polished floor beside the dragon, the energy hum of the palace still vibrating through her arm. Sparks from the destabilized core faded, leaving the hall dim but alive with residual pulses of light. Mechanized guards lay scattered, twisted and inert. The masked counselor had disappeared into the shadows, and the armored figure was nowhere in sight. For the first time since the bite, the immediate danger had passed, but the weight of what she had survived pressed on her. The dragon exhaled a long, glowing breath, curling its massive body protectively around her. Its translucent scales shimmered with a soft light, and Leora could feel the vibration of trust and awareness flowing into her arm. She had calmed it, coordinated with it, and used it to neutralize the palace's deadliest threats. Her courage had turned the impossible into victory. She pressed a hand gently against its muzzle, and the dragon hummed in response, a sound almost like contentment. The prince arrived, robes fluttering, eyes wide as he took in the scene. "You," he began, voice shaking between awe and disbelief. "You controlled it. You," his words faltered as he took a cautious step closer. "You saved the palace. You saved me." Leora met his gaze, feeling a rush of exhaustion mixed with pride. She nodded simply. "I did what had to be done." He studied her, the golden light from the palace reflecting in his eyes. "Humans? I underestimated you," he admitted softly. Leora's jaw tightened. Humans were underestimated constantly, but here, in this alien palace, her courage, intelligence and empathy had made a difference no alien could ignore. She had turned fear and danger into action, reasoning and connection, proving that even a single human could shape the fate of a world. But the victory was not complete. Leora's attention returned to the shadows, where the flickering lights of the palace's hidden network pulsed faintly. The bite had connected her to more than the dragon. It had linked her to the palace itself. She could feel the presence of someone still watching, plotting and waiting. Her arm tingled, the dragon's hum shifting to a low, warning vibration. Then she saw it, a faint shimmer near the outer wing of the palace. Someone, or something, was moving, silent and deliberate. Leora's pulse quickened. This was no ordinary spy, no mechanized guard. The energy signature was different, more advanced, almost organic. She pressed a hand against the dragon's neck, synchronizing with its awareness. "We're not done yet," she thought. "The palace has more secrets and so do our enemies." The prince approached, placing a hand lightly on the dragon's shimmering scales. "I don't know what this is," he admitted, "but you have formed a bond one have never seen. And that bond saved us all." Leora nodded, though she did not lower her guard. The palace had revealed its dangers, and while one threat was neutralized, the larger game had only begun. She moved carefully, guiding the dragon toward the hidden corridors where the shimmer had appeared. Her glowing arm pulsed in rhythm with the palace's energy, revealing patterns, secret passages and concealed rooms. She realized that her bond with the dragon allowed her to anticipate threats, navigate traps, and even sense the intentions of those who moved unseen. The palace was alive, adaptive and aware, but she now had a foothold, a leverage point no one else possessed. Suddenly, a faint vibration ran along the floor, a high-pitched, almost alien resonance that carried intent. The dragon stiffened, its scales flaring brightly. Leora's stomach tightened. Someone, or something, was watching her, waiting for the right moment to strike. But this time she was ready. The palace's pulse flowed through her, the dragon's awareness strengthened her senses, and she felt a fierce determination harden in her chest. She looked at the prince, who met her gaze with a mixture of curiosity and respect. "The counselor," he murmured, "they are not finished. There are others, hidden deeper, waiting for the right opportunity. You must be careful." Leora swallowed, the weight of responsibility settling on her shoulders. Her courage had saved the palace, but the fight was far from over. Her hand pressed against the dragon's scales, and she felt a surge of understanding. The bite had been a test, a bridge, a warning, and now a tool. She could navigate the palace, protect the prince, and face threats no one else could see. She had turned fear into strategy, danger into opportunity, and chaos into controlled action. The palace's secrets were vast, but her human determination would guide her. From the far outer wing, a shadow shifted, faster than the eye could follow. Leora's pulse surged as the dragon's hum intensified. "They're coming," she thought, "and we will be ready." The palace, the conspirators, the unseen threats, all of it was now part of a larger puzzle, one she was uniquely capable of solving. She exhaled slowly, feeling the weight of the day, the danger, and the victories. The dragon nudged her gently, a reminder that they were allies, partners, and perhaps something more. She smiled faintly, a small moment of relief in the midst of the tension. But even as calm settled for a heartbeat, the palace itself seemed to whisper in vibration and light, hinting at secrets far beyond the prince, beyond the counselor, beyond the hall she had just navigated. Leora's eyes narrowed with determination. She had faced the impossible once, faced death, danger and betrayal and emerged stronger. The palace was alive, the dragon was hers to guide, and the challenges ahead would test every ounce of her courage and intelligence. The shadow in the distance moved again, faster, more deliberate. Leora tightened her grip on the dragon's neck. She could feel the palace humming beneath her fingertips, guiding, warning and waiting. This was only the beginning. The bite, the bond, the palace, and the dragon had revealed a universe of challenges she had yet to confront. And far beyond the palace walls, in the blackness of orbit, a fleet of ships shimmered faintly, watching silently. Leora's hand tingled with the dragon's hum as she sensed them. An enemy larger than the counselor, greater than the palace itself, waiting for the right moment. She squared her shoulders, determination blazing in her eyes. Whatever came next, she would face it with courage, intelligence, and resolve. Humans could rise, even in a world of aliens and impossible odds. And Leora, with a dragon at her side, was living proof. The palace fell silent, but the story was far from over. Shadows moved, light pulsed, and a new adventure waited beyond the doors she had yet to open. Leora's journey had only begun.